Donald Trump has just conducted what could be considered the most disastrous interview by a sitting president in modern American history. He sat down with NBC to discuss his war against Iran, and what emerged from the conversation was not a display of strategy, leadership, or clarity, but rather a man flailing. He contradicted himself in real time and told the American public that bombing a sovereign nation's oil infrastructure was something he might do again, and I quote, "just for fun." This is particularly alarming given that 13 American service members are dead and over 200 military personnel are injured, many suffering serious injuries. Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed to American and allied shipping. Iranian drones are targeting U.S. installations across Iraq. Israel is running critically low on missile interceptors, and not a single major ally on Earth is willing to stand alongside the United States right now. Two stark realities are colliding in plain view. The reality Trump is constructing on camera, where Iran's military is supposedly 100% destroyed and everyone is eager to negotiate with him, and the reality unfolding on the ground, where American embassies are under fire, allied nations are refusing to send warships, and the man who initiated this war cannot articulate what victory looks like or define the terms of any potential deal. This is not normal. Normal left the building a long time ago. In the next few minutes, I will detail exactly what transpired during that interview, present three undeniable pieces of evidence that highlight the gap between Trump's words and the actual situation, and explain why the world you inhabit today looks fundamentally different from the one that existed before this war began. Consider this analogy. Imagine you have a business partner who, for a year straight, has threatened your clients, insulted your suppliers, imposed tariffs on your products, and even threatened to annex your territory. Then one day, this partner calls you in a panic, saying, "I need you to send everything you have to bail me out of a disaster I created." How long before you stop answering the phone? How long before you start building relationships with partners who do not treat you like a subordinate? Keep that thought in mind, because that is precisely what is happening right now between the United States and its traditional allies. Drop your answer in the comments. At what point does an ally become a liability you simply cannot afford? Let's rewind the clock. The chain of events that led to this moment did not begin with Iranian drones over Baghdad. It began with a U.S.-Israeli strike operation that Donald Trump greenlit, an operation his top generals explicitly warned could trigger the very cascade we are now witnessing. The intelligence assessments were clear. If you strike Iran this way, they will shut down the strait, retaliate across the region, and escalate their response. Trump was briefed on all of this, but rushed in anyway, chasing Netanyahu into a war that has now spiraled beyond anyone's ability to contain. Iran responded by doing exactly what the generals predicted. They struck across the Middle East and effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz. Trump told NBC that he was very surprised that Iran attacked other countries in response, surprised by the outcome that his own military leadership had laid out for him before he gave the order. What followed was not strategy. It was improvisation dressed as toughness. Trump ordered strikes on Kharg Island, Iran's primary oil export terminal. He claimed, "We totally demolished the island," and then added, "We may need to hit it a few more times just for fun." When you say that, you create a rallying cry that unites the Iranian population around the new Ayatollah, Mohammad Khamenei. You hand the regime exactly the propaganda it needs. What a sick and callous thing to say about a war that has already cost American lives. Now let's look at the first piece of evidence. The interview exposes a president fabricating the entire diplomatic landscape. Trump told NBC that Iran is begging to make a deal with him, claiming they want to make a deal desperately. However, when NBC asked the obvious follow-up, what terms are they offering and what would be better, Trump refused to answer. He could not answer because the entire premise is a fabrication. Iran's leadership has publicly stated its position. They want full reparations for the damage caused by strikes, and they demand the removal of American military bases from the Middle East. If those conditions are met, they say they will reopen the strait. Iran's foreign minister went on MSNBC and stated plainly that the Strait of Hormuz is open, just not to American, Israeli, and allied ships. Others are free to pass. Iran believes it is negotiating from a position of strength, not desperation. Multiple nations are now negotiating directly with Tehran, bypassing Washington entirely because they view the United States not as an honest broker, but as an obstacle. Trump also claimed he is collaborating with other countries on a plan to secure the strait. This is yet another fabrication. Days earlier, he had told the United Kingdom to withdraw its ships. France immediately denied rumors it was sending battleships. Turkey publicly stated it would never participate in this war, and Italy said, "Keep us out. No one wants to be on this team." Trump has spent the entire past year imposing tariffs on the world, threatening war on Canada and Denmark over Greenland, and alienating every potential coalition partner he now desperately needs. Now he is out there begging for help that no one is willing to provide. The coalition he describes on camera does not exist in any form. The second piece of evidence, the military reality on the ground, demolishes every claim coming from the White House. Trump has repeatedly stated that 100% of Iran's military capability has been destroyed. Set that claim against what is actually happening. Tel Aviv is being bombarded harder than at any point in Israel's history by a combination of Iranian and Hezbollah strikes. The U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad was hit by Iranian drones. Video captured a Shahed drone flying through Camp Victory in Iraq, essentially unintercepted, navigating freely, and striking its target with devastating precision. A Giraffe 1X multi-mission radar system, designed to counter exactly these drones, was destroyed. Black smoke rose from the UAE's port of Fujairah, the country's only oil export terminal outside the strait, after an Iranian strike. Kuwait reported several drones striking its international airport. Here's the interceptor crisis that makes everything exponentially worse. Israel has formally informed the United States that it is running critically low on ballistic missile interceptors. U.S. officials told Semaphore that Washington has been aware of this for months. One official called it something we expected and anticipated. If you anticipated running out of interceptors, why did you rush headlong into this war? If the U.S. is not facing a similar shortage, why are Patriot and THAAD systems being pulled from South Korea and repositioned to the Middle East? Why is there a supplemental funding request specifically for more interceptors? The United States is staring at a munitions crisis in real time. I showed you this data a month before this war started. I put the charts and graphs on screen. If I could see this coming from publicly available information, what were the people with classified intelligence doing when they greenlit this catastrophe? The third piece of evidence, the Zelensky betrayal and the Russia connection. This is where the picture becomes genuinely alarming. During the same interview, Trump attacked President Zelensky, calling him far more difficult to deal with than Putin. He remarked, "The last person I need help from is Zelensky. I do not want his help at all." Here's the context Trump doesn't want you to have. Zelensky offered the United States drone interceptor technology and satellite systems designed to counter the exact Shahed drones that are devastating American positions across the Middle East. Right now, Ukraine has become arguably the most experienced nation on Earth at neutralizing these weapons, because Russia has been firing them at Ukrainian cities for years. The U.S. military formally requested this assistance, and Zelensky agreed. Trump personally blocked the transfer. Now, let's layer on the Russia dimension. Trump lifted sanctions on Russian oil against the explicit wishes of the entire G7. 6 other nations said absolutely not. Trump did it to help Putin at the exact moment Russia is publicly aiding Iran and targeting Americans. Zelensky confirmed this directly to Fareed Zakaria. Ukrainian intelligence verified that Russian-made components are inside the drones hitting American bases. Russian intelligence is being shared with Iran to locate American troops and assets. So the picture forming is this. Trump helps Russia sell oil, and in return, Russia helps Iran kill Americans. Trump rejects help from the one ally who knows how to stop the weapons Russia is supplying. Ukraine has been conducting a successful counteroffensive. Look at the maps of Zaporizhia and the gains Ukraine has made with its own drone technology. Russia is desperate, and Trump is handing Putin the ultimate bailout. In my opinion, this is the most treasonous and traitorous convergence of decisions I have ever witnessed from an American president. The underlying facts that inform that opinion are undisputed. If this analysis is connecting dots you have not seen assembled anywhere else, you are already ahead of most people watching this unfold. Hit subscribe right now. This situation is evolving faster than any single outlet can track. I will have another video in just a few hours covering the expansion of this war across the globe. You need to be here when it drops. Here is the contrast that defines this crisis. On one side, you have leaders across Europe, the Middle East, and Ukraine doing what strategists do, building networks, negotiating directly with each other, creating bypasses around Washington because they have concluded that the United States under Trump is not a reliable partner, but a hazard. Zelensky offers drone defense expertise while running a successful counteroffensive. Iran's foreign minister conducts international media tours laying out clear terms. Gulf states open back channels. Nations are maneuvering, adapting, and building new routes forward without waiting for Washington. On the other side, you have Trump governing through blunt force and fabrication. He imposes tariffs on allies, threatens sovereign nations, grants sanctions relief to the country arming his enemy, and makes social media posts claiming total victory while embassies burn. He posted that many countries would send warships to help. Not one agreed. He claimed total destruction of Iran's military while drones were hitting American installations. He rejected Zelensky's offer while Americans died from the weapons Zelensky knows how to neutralize. When asked about Moshabe Khamenei, Trump said, "I do not know if he is even alive. I am hearing he is not alive, and if he is, he should surrender." Then he dismissed it as just a rumor. All over the place, he contradicts himself within the same answer. This is weakness broadcast to every capital on the planet. So what does this mean for you? Gas prices are climbing. Trump told NBC he is not concerned at all, stating that things may be clogged up a little bit, but we will be unclogged very soon. If you drive a car, heat your home, or buy anything that moves by ship, the closure of the strait hits your wallet directly. Roughly 20% of the world's oil passes through that waterway. When nations begin to build energy relationships directly with Iran and restructure supply chains to bypass the United States, those new trade routes do not disappear when the crisis ends. They become permanent. Once a supply chain restructures around a new partner, it does not revert to its previous state when the politics calm down. The jobs and the money follow the new routes, and they do not return. Now, let's consider three potential scenarios from here. Scenario 1, managed de-escalation. Back-channel negotiations brokered by Gulf states or China produce a framework where Iran reopens the strait in exchange for a halt to strikes. Both sides claim victory. The shooting stops, but the structural damage to American credibility remains permanent. The networks nations built during this crisis, the direct channels to Tehran, and the diplomatic bypasses around Washington become the new architecture. The old order does not reassemble itself. Scenario 2, broader realignment. More nations follow the emerging pattern. They stop waiting for Washington and build their own security and energy arrangements. Russia and China consolidate influence in the vacuum. As Philip O'Brien noted, Trump's own posts are works of art for posterity. He claims total destruction of Iran's military, yet begs the former allies he has insulted to save him in the Gulf. The United States remains powerful, but no longer sits as the unquestioned center of the global order. Scenario 3, the one nobody wants to name out loud, escalation spirals. A carrier group is struck, a major population center is hit, or there's an accidental engagement with a third country. A wider war ignites, alliances fracture under forced choices, and the global economy enters a crisis that makes 2008 look minor. This is the scenario that Trump's recklessness, bombing for fun, rejecting help, lying about readiness, makes more likely every single day. Here's what lies underneath all of it. The American order, as it existed before this war, is not coming back. Even if Trump reverses course tomorrow, the lesson has been absorbed by every watching capital. You never build your entire security architecture around a partner who might call bombing your region fun. You never put all your strategic eggs in a basket controlled by someone who lifts sanctions on the country, arming your enemy while rejecting help from the ally who can save your soldiers. Israel is frustrated that no Iranian uprising has materialized. Perhaps it's because Trump refers to Iranians as nasty and menacing. Perhaps it's because Pete Hegseth talks about showing no quarter, which is a war crime. Perhaps it's because when you bomb elementary schools and hospitals, people do not rally to your banner. Perhaps it's because the Iranian regime points to Epstein and questions whether these are really the moral authorities you want running your country. Did Trump dismantle American leadership, or did it collapse under its own contradictions? Is anyone winning this war, or is the whole world losing? When a president calls war fun and rejects every ally offering help, whose interests is he actually serving? Drop your answers in the comments. I read every single one. Please subscribe because the next chapter, whether it involves a wider Gulf escalation, a NATO rupture, the economic shockwave hitting your gas pump, or the global expansion I am covering in my next video, is coming fast. This story is not slowing down. Do not look away. This content is commentary and opinion protected under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, provided for informational and analytical purposes only. It does not constitute financial, legal, or geopolitical advice. Consult qualified professionals before making any decisions based on current events.